This video is sponsored by BetterHelp. Convenient, affordable, private online counseling, anytime, anywhere. The Legend of Zelda is a strange game. It can be very dark and sad, but also extremely cheerful and happy. However, today we're going to take a look at the darkest, saddest, most emotional and unsettling moments seen in the series. Number 10. Now Breath of the Wild already starts off quite dark and will kind of shock the player, because Link died and Hyrule was almost destroyed. Throughout the game you're trying to find out exactly what happened, and slowly but surely you find out what went down. The further you go, the darker and sadder it becomes. And at the very end of it all, we get to see a cutscene that's certainly the most impactful of the entire game. There's a true ending where Link and Zelda look at the destroyed Hyrule Castle one last time, and hovering above it are the now free spirits of the champions that gave their life. In my opinion, this is the most emotional moment in the entire game, especially if you've done all the Divine Beasts and the DLC. Because then you will have a real bond with these characters, so seeing them go feels good, but also makes you a bit sad. They're finally free, however, they went through real hell. And so the game ends, with both of them still looking at the ruined castle and thinking about the horrors that happened there. Number 9. Terror, fear, and dark thoughts have always played a role in the Zelda series. However, there's one game in the series where this sense is real. The sense of impending doom, death drawing closer, and hopelessness settling in. In this game we see Lorule, which is a dark mirror of Hyrule that used to be a lot nicer to live in. The world is destroyed and filled with monsters, and most of the locations are isolated from each other by cliffs and large chasms. Everyone found in this dark realm has either completely lost their mind, is barely hanging on, or became evil. And in the entire world there's one town that still some sort of functions. Thieves' Town. The settlement is home to a group of thieves who have a hideout on the northern edge of the town. There are also a few mask-wearing villagers and their leader, the Masked Elder, who can be found in a field located to the west, and they speak of becoming monsters to be saved. Clearly the people changed quite fast and became a shadow of their former self, being consumed by the darkness surrounding them. When it comes to hopeless scenarios in the series, this is certainly my number 1 pick. Everywhere you go is sadness. Number 8. Like I mentioned before, Link doesn't always win, and this also happened in Ocarina of Time when he entered the Temple of Time. Here he made a fatal mistake when he acquired the Master Sword. Ganondorf got to the Triforce, and the world was essentially doomed. However, when Link returned 7 years later, he's shocked to find that Hyrule Castle was completely destroyed, and Ganon's castle erected on the ruins where the castle once stood. Some of the inhabitants were able to escape to the nearby Kakariko village, and the ruined city became infested with the Redeads. It's unknown though whether any of the Hyrule Castle citizens were actually killed in the attack, or became these monsters themselves. There's literally nothing left of the former town, and especially the first time you see this, it's quite a shocker. While Lorule was a dying world where hope was still an option, this place is already at the end of its dark journey. It's already too late. Places that once offered people joy like the Happy Mask Salesman's shop are now gone and look grim instead. Certainly a dark and depressing sight to see. Number 7. Now Hyrule Castle isn't the only dark and depressing place seen in Ocarina of Time, because there's a certain temple that has an interesting history. The Shadow Temple. Here is gathered Hyrule's bloody history of greed and hatred. This is the black sheep of the family. It looks like an enlarged catacomb and is filled with undead creatures, deadly twisted traps, and mind-bending puzzles everywhere, all designed to trap anyone who enters the crypt. Some of the walls and floors are stained with blood, and torture equipment is located in several rooms. It was never really explained in the game or any of the others what really happened here, but walking through it, you can already get a feeling that it's nothing good. There's a good reason why all of this was locked away. The place is completely inhabited by dark feelings, and the fact that none of the horrible things encountered in this place are explained only makes it worse. A ton of people who played this game as a kid and entered this dungeon became quite scared of it all, and even some adults think it's creepy. Clearly a very weird, dark, and saddening place. Number 6. Throughout the Zelda franchise, Link has always remained a bit of a mysterious character. Nothing was known about him. However, in Ocarina of Time, we got a little bit of lore after a million years. However, it wasn't very positive. According to the Deku Tree Sprout, he's not a Kokiri but a Hylian. This is probably why he was bullied by the others his entire life. Apparently, his mother fled from the Hyrulean Civil War with her infant child into the Kokiri forest seeking asylum. Seeing that the woman was mortally wounded and sensing that the boy was fated to change the world, the Deku Tree agreed to take in the child and raise him as a Kokiri. So we actually find out where this incarnation of Link came from, while most others have no backstory at all. And this was certainly a sad one. He never knew his mother, we don't even know what happened to his father, and his whole life he was rejected by the others. Clearly, he has quite a tough life and a lot of responsibilities are resting on his shoulders. However, he remains silent. But you don't have to. Now, as you all have noticed at the start of this video, it's sponsored by BetterHelp. They provide anyone facing life challenges with easy, discreet, and affordable access to professional counseling from a licensed therapist. Personally, I've gone through a 2-year period of depression and was lucky enough that my parents had enough money for it all. Most people don't. However, BetterHelp is only $35 to $65 a week, depending on your need. And you can talk to your counselor via email, text, or video chat. Within 24 hours of signing up, you will be matched with a counselor, can change counselor anytime you want for free, and can schedule video chat sessions with them. If you're struggling, give BetterHelp a try by going to tryonlinetherapy.com/Dr.Wily. The link is also in the description. Thank you for your time. Number 5. Now, as we all know, Majora's Mask has quite a dark theme, and even in the credits, when you think you saved everyone, they put something extremely dark and sad. The Deku Butler's son is first seen at the beginning of the game as a dead tree in the catacombs between Hyrule and Termina. During the end of the game, a scene is shown where the Deku Butler goes to mourn at his son's remains, and his soul resides within the Deku Mask. This hits especially hard if you interacted with the dead tree at the beginning of the game, and see this at the very end of this sad journey. This is certainly a scene that sticks with you, and some people don't even know about it. How all of this happened is unknown, but when I first played through this game and realized what happened, it was kind of shocking. And no matter what you do in the game, the Deku Butler will lose his son and kneel there, crying over his remains. Number 4. Let's go back a bit. Like I mentioned before, Lorule is a place filled with sadness and was essentially doomed. However, the ending of the game is quite an interesting one. After Link and Zelda's departure, Lorule grows darker, showing that it's ending. The world is going to completely fall apart and the inhabitants of the world will meet their end. The final hours are here. Returning home, Link and Zelda find themselves in Hyrule's sacred realm, with the whole Triforce up ahead. They both touch it, with the wish of Lorule's Triforce to be restored after all they had seen. It is granted, and then reforms right in front of Hilda and Ravio. So at the very end of it all, they do get saved. However, that ending scene before they get saved is quite emotional. You can see the hope in their eyes disappear, and you know that there's nothing that they can do to save themselves. All of this makes the fact that Zelda and Link saved them extra special. Number 3. Now, this next one will probably be a surprise to most of you, because we're going to take a look at the end of Link's Awakening. If Link completes the game without dying, an additional scene can be seen after the ending credits. Both versions of the game show Marin as a seagull, while the Ballad of the Windfish theme is playing in the background. She was an important character in the game that you interacted with a lot, and if you finish the game, the world disappears because it was all a dream of a mighty being. However, this scene may either hint that Marin had her wish come true and was saved from the fading dream world, or simply that Link was thinking of Marin and her wish of being a seagull. A ton of people don't know about this, but it certainly adds an emotional touch to the end of this adventure, which is always a beautiful thing to see. And Marin, her wish finally came true. We think at least. Number 2. Majora's Mask has been on this list multiple times so far. However, this is quite understandable, because it's quite a heavy game in terms of feelings. And this next moment is something I only found out recently when I was streaming the game over on Twitch.
Oh really? Is everyone taking refuge at Romani Ranch? I've never been to like Romani Ranch in the final hours. I've never checked that out. Is everybody there all of a sudden then? That would be cool to see though.
Psst, be sure to follow me there. Link to my Twitch in the description, comment section, and on the screen right now. So in an attempt to avoid the moon's collision with Termina, the staff of the Stockpot Inn are intent upon taking refuge at the ranch on the night of the final day. However, Kremia believes that the ranch is not safe either, preparing herself and her sister for the worst. So while they try to escape their terrible fate, they will fail nonetheless. Whatever they do, they will meet their end. The thought of these people doing their best to survive this horror that happened out of nowhere and still failing in the end sticks with you. If Link wasn't there, they would certainly never ever see the light of day again. Number 1. Now for our number 1, and we aren't going to change game. The same goes for the time period. The final hours are certainly a heavy hitter. However, there's one couple in the game that wears the crown of best side quest and best cutscene in the game, Kafei and Anju. With just the final hours left until the moon falls, Anju waits for Kafei in her room with her moon's mask. The two lovers at last reunite and exchange their masks and oaths, and in return for witnessing this event, they grant Link the couple's mask. Even though the moon is just hours away from destroying Termina, they urge Link to take refuge, for they will stay and greet the morning together. True love being depicted in a game from 2000 while there are no voiceovers at all, but it still has a huge impact. They both went through all this trouble to finally see each other again, and now they're married, and they will face their end together. And if you save them, then you get to see the wedding in the credits, which is certainly heartwarming. After such a long side quest and all the effort both of them put into this, it certainly makes it the most emotional and dark scene in the game. If you ever need help with any mental issues, then give BetterHelp a shot by going to tryonlinetherapy.com/Dr.Wily. It's never too late. Thanks for watching everybody, I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to check out BetterHelp if you feel like it. I would highly advise it instead of doing nothing, which is always worse, like always. And if you want to, you can also check out my Twitch. I stream there every week, and it's a lot of fun, and I can give you lots of hugs and kisses. So go check it out.